Have you got more light? You're a bit dark.
No, nothing. Oh, hang on a minute. 1 minute. What about if I turned my torch on my phone and did something like that?
That is much better, actually. Yeah.
That's a phone sat in a cup so that it's angled correctly.
You're giving the game away. Our trade secrets.
I'm a technician, John. My job is to problem solve. So you gave me a problem and I solved it.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Trowbridge and Jon Ponting in Cricklade.
It is that time of the week already. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is Sheer Isolation. Kieran's doing his hair.
Got to look good for the camera, mate.
Are you doing who's watching? You're doing the Boris fluff up, are you, to get your hair all messy on purpose?
Oh, they love it when they see it's all fluffy, or they think it's great.
Creepy. So, for people who aren't familiar with us, we do our best to promote the local music scene and just really support all the guys and girls who work in the industry through this year where they've just not been able to do what they love and what they need to do to earn the pennies. So it's the year is coming to an end, Kieran, and there does seem to be some light at the end of the tunnel now, which is reassuring.
It cannot come soon enough. Honestly, this year has been terrible, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. We have a vaccine looming, and we're going to get there. It's going to be fine.
Have you had any industry updates from anyone like the Music Venues Trust recently? Has there been any news you can talk about?
Well, Frank, We Make Events who we've had a couple of people mention it in their talks. We've not had anyone specifically from the organisation, but we've had a few guests on who have talked about it. And they are doing another fundraising campaign. And Frank Turner went on a bit of a rant on Facebook earlier, basically saying how more high-profile acts need to get behind these initiatives because they're the ones that can make the difference. And he's absolutely right. If Ed Sheeran did a stream from his bathroom, he would save the industry himself in one afternoon for half an hour's work.
I think this is the fourth week in a row where we have referenced Ed Sheeran.
Is it really?
Keeps
he's the biggest name in music.
I don't know why. It's just, he's always there. He always seems to crop up it's like the hidden character in the young ones who you don't actually see, but he's there, just in the background all the time.
Yeah.
Right, this week's guest, we have got Talis Kimberley-Fairbourne, who's a Swindon-based musician, very big on eco and protest marches, and she also does folk gigs as well, and a really good traditional-sounding folk guitarist. But Kieran, you were just obsessed with this idea of going off on protest marches. Again, it's an area that we haven't really covered in the 33 weeks that we've been doing this.
No, it's absolutely one we absolutely should do. I've got a couple of friends who are protest singers who could totally come on and give us a good idea of that.
Okay, it's probably about time we played a tune. You have picked a track for us, Kieran. What have we got?
I have picked, we obviously every week we shout out, say, please give us your music. And I picked a chap called Paul Lappin. Anybody French, Lappin in French is rabbit. So I'm just going to call him Paul Rabbit from now on. He sent us in 3 videos and 3 songs, and I've chosen The Boy Who Wants to Fly. The reason I've chosen this song out of all the others, it just sounds and feels nice. But it's really in keeping with our guest. It's a singer-songwriter, kind of folky. I got a really 90s indie vibe coming over in the song. So it sort of really spoke to me. And it's just a really lovely song.
There's a boy who wants to fly, but they tell him not to try. So he leaves the books unread and floats above his bed instead. There's a girl who thinks she's slow, always running, always low. She keeps trying to hide her face, but she always wins the race. La 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 la. boy who likes to sing. Is that such a crazy thing? While his friends just sit and stare, he hears music everywhere. There's a girl who won't sit still. She has an empty space to fill. They say she doesn't have a chance if all she wants to do is dance. La 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 la. There's a man who sits and stares in a place where no one cares. All his thoughts are fading fast as he reflects upon his past. He's a boy who wants to fly. He just wants to touch the sky. Would it really have been so bad to live the dream that he once had? There's a girl who always dreams, never listening it seems. She is what the future brings, and she dreams of better things. La 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 la. Fly, but they told him not to try, so he leaves the books unread, and now he floats above his bed.
That was The Boy Who Wants to Fly by John Rabbit.
Paul Rabbit. Paul Lappin.
Paul Lappin. Lappin.
You got both of his names wrong.
Wrong. Yeah, sorry, Paul Rabbit. Paul Lappin. There you go.
Now, is he actually French? You've kind of said that his name is French.
I don't think he's even been to France. I don't know. Just got a French surname. It's not even French. It's spelled English. It just looks like the word for a rabbit. It's just, So, some of that school GCSE stayed in there.
So why have you got the poster from Frank Turner and Ben Marwood's gig, which was, how many years ago is that?
2006, so 14 years ago. Sheesh kebabs. Actually, that poster is the first time that Frank played with Ben Marwood. They met each other at that gig. It was also the first time Frank played for me solo. And I'd known Frank for years prior to that. And I wanted him to play for me for ages and ages. And he ended up playing in Trowbridge first. And I got immensely jealous of the guy that promoted in Trowbridge. I was like, how did you get him before me? And I was really annoyed. So eventually Frank came and played for me. And then Eddie, who was in Trowbridge, moved to Cardiff. And it was the worst thing that ever happened to Trowbridge, because as soon as he went, all the gigs stopped. So Eddie, come back. Oh, no, don't. I'm there now.
I was going to say, you run Trowbridge now, don't you, in the music mafia?
Come back to the Devices. No, but it's just there because it looks pretty.
Fine, fair enough. In that case, we'll go straight on to this week's guest. Now, for people who are regular listeners and regular viewers, you'll know we tried to cover as many different angles from the local music scene as we can. I think we've been doing a pretty decent job over the last few months. So this week we are joined by Talis Kimberley-Fairbourne. Now, she is a musician. She's been on the Swindon scene for I won't go into how many years, because you don't want to give the game away, do you? But her music is quite traditional folk sounding. She doesn't just do regular gigs and festival gigs. She does quite a lot of campaigning as well, and is quite heavily involved with the Green Party and quite heavily involved with all kinds of local community protests and nationwide protests as well. So we thought we'd get her on for a little chat, see how her year's been. I will apologise, there is a bit of an echo when me and Kieran are talking. You do get that sometimes on Zoom.
Bear with us, it's worth it.
When we first met, it was at the Solheim Festival, and that was an absolutely torrential year.
I do remember that one. We got rained off stage, so we went into the green room tent and we carried on just kind of like a cappella, no instruments. I've got pictures of me doing the actions to one of my shanties, and I am just dripping, absolutely sodden. And that was just with the run from the stage, you know, to the little tent. It was, but then that's what memories are made of, isn't it? You know, the one where, yeah, I sang Spoon in a tent, dripping wet, and people took pictures because it was funny. So yeah, you do that. But you know what, if you do a gig where everything goes right and nothing goes wrong and nothing really stands out, you're not going to remember that gig, are you? 5-10 years later. It's do you remember the one where, yeah, the tent blew away, the tent collapsed, you know. I don't know.
That is so true.
Yeah, that's
you never remember the gigs that went fine.
Not so much. Or maybe we just have particularly exciting gigs. But something is usually falling over or falling apart or running away or, you know, stuff happens and it's all good fun.
So Talis, what's your year been like musically? Because obviously the music scene has come to a halt. I'm guessing you're in the same boat as everyone else.
Very much, yeah. So the gig, I had a gig in London, headlining at Walthamstow Folk Club, where I've been before. Of course, that couldn't happen. Things on the south coast couldn't happen. No use even applying to any of the later festivals this year, nothing at all. But also, really sadly, all the really tea and cake fun things that would normally be part of my sort of gig process. So I've done things like protests or house concerts or eco things, or, you know, let's save the library, or a literary gathering, or this, that and the other. The sort of tea and cake things where you're making a gig out of something that isn't actually a gig, you know? I love those. They're often the best fun. Putting music where people don't expect music to be. I've always thought that there should be more of that, because then you're not fighting over the audience who go to live music. You're bringing music to an audience who go, oh, I didn't know there was going to be music here. That was really fun. I liked that. Where are you playing next? And then you're actually broadening out, because even in a good year, honestly, I think that the proportion of people who will look in their local leaflets or the local newspaper, whatever, and see, oh, is there a gig on tonight? Is there a band on tonight? Let's go out and see. The proportion is really small, isn't it, of people who will do that. But if people are doing something else, they're shopping, they're protesting, they're investing in or celebrating the launch of something, or gathering, I don't know, like a gardener's picnic is one that comes to mind. A group of gardeners up in London who had all done a community garden together, and the organiser was a friend of mine, and she said that they were having a communal picnic. This was a few years ago, and would I like to go and do some of my songs, because some of them would really fit, you know, with the vibe. That's kind of your tea and cake gig. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, putting music where people don't expect music to be, to surprise them with it and hopefully delight them with it. And yeah, hopefully bring them on board and say, what are you doing next? So what am I doing next is mostly sitting on the sofa here.
I love your phrasing there. Tea and cake. Tea and cake gigs.
Tea and cake gigs, absolutely. Sometimes genuinely tea and cake, which is always a joy, because I kind of run on tea and cake. I mean,
pretty damn tea and cake, yeah.
There is the music scene, you know, and there are great promoters and gig organisers and festival organisers who I know are really struggling now, because the structure that they've been working in isn't there. You can't make things happen. But where I've done probably more of my performances over the years, I'm, you know, about 25 plus years of gigging here and there, is the community stuff, which can happen anywhere. And of course, it's not happening this year either. So my friend she couldn't call me to the park to go and sing for a picnic or anything. I really, really wonder what's going to happen with that, because while some people are watching, rightly, the venues and the pubs and the organisers to see what's going to happen with the shape of live music in the future, I do slightly look the other way, and I think what's happening with people's, just ordinary community people's interface with real music. Carol singing, for example. Most communities will have somewhere where there'll be, say, a tree light up, something. In my village here in Wroughton, we'd have the tree lighting up, the silver band would be there, they'd play carols, everybody would sing carols. It's a tradition thing, not a faith thing, and that's just fine. And a lot of people know half a verse or the first verse or the chorus, you know. But it's a thing, and people would sing. And we're not going to have that this year. We're not going to have Christmas carols, Christmas without Christmas carols. And yet we've already lost so much in terms of people being used to singing and singing back. I'm kind of scared for, in the future. Say it takes a year, say it takes 2 years. If we then have lighting up the Christmas tree, will people still join in the singing then? Or will they just think, oh yeah, better keep my mouth shut because my voice isn't very good, and I don't like singing in public, and I don't know the words, and it's that music for everybody thing. I don't know.
You've touched on something there, haven't you? Because it's the loss of something. Because I feel it, I'm sure you feel it, John feels it, and we're only a tip of a very large iceberg.
I think there was a point during the summer, I don't think I took advantage of it much because we've really been shielding mostly. There was a point in the summer where the whole, rules of 6, and you could be 6 feet away from somebody if you did or didn't know them on a Tuesday in a park or something, where people were beginning to find ways to have, say 3 musicians equidistant from each other, somewhere outdoors, could at least play trios or folk songs or Balkan dances or whatever their thing is. And I wonder if we will find ways to make things like that spring up when it's legal, when it's possible. And that won't help the music industry. It won't be gigs like we know gigs. But if we can keep a thread of something going that makes people go, oh, did you catch the so-and-so that happened the other day down the such and such? Oh, well, I hope they do it again. That was really cool. I've so missed it. That's what we want. I think we've got to get out there and do something when we can, when it's legal.
Completely agree. I have no doubt that when we can, we're going to be flooded with opportunities. My concern really is the audience reticence. Are they going to be scared to come out? Are they going to be able to do 3 gigs a week? So I think we're going to be fighting over a small pool of audience. Because
it always was a small pie, wasn't it? And the pie's just got way smaller. It's a bitty pie dish. Yeah.
You already covered quite extensively there, but just about the protest gigs and the campaigning, which I know you've always been really heavily involved with. Had you always been taking that route, or did it come along a bit later on?
The music came first. The music definitely came first. I was writing songs about literature and folklore and the landscape and fairy tales and so on quite happily for a good many years before I really got politicised. There was a series several years ago which the BBC put out called Folk Britannia. I don't remember that. And they had 4 or 5, maybe half a dozen quite lengthy shows that I think were gigs that they put on at somewhere like the Albert Hall or something. And it was to showcase folk music, which is a great idea. And they had one week it was, things like mining songs, and another it was like travelling songs, and another it was sea songs and things like that. And then they had one of more contemporary protest songs, which was where I was introduced to listening to Chris Wood. And of course, Rob Johnson was there, who was brilliant. There are more protest singers than Billy Bragg, whatever The Guardian tells you.
I think Chris T.T. was in that as well.
Yes. Grace Petrie and Russ Chandler and all sorts, and me. But anyway, at the time, I wasn't a protest singer. But this particular episode, which I'd really enjoyed the concert, finished. And the announcer said, so that was Folk Britannia, the such and such songs. Next week, we hear from the ladies. And something just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, right.
You have the sea songs, the working songs, the mining songs, the women singing songs.
Well, round of applause to the women at the end there. Well done for trying.
I was jumping up and down, fuming. I really was. And I started writing my first protest song then. That was it. I thought, I'll do political songs. And I got very ranty, and it sort of grew, because when you start paying attention to things and finding ways to articulate them, that grows. It's like a muscle. You exercise it, you get better at it, you do more. So I have protest songs about all sorts of things, closing libraries and Brexit. So one of the things I was going to say that I've been doing, just as you have, you get lockdown, a whole bunch of stuff is stripped out of your life. The things that you were looking forward to and building towards and planning for are gone. So many of us, you did and I did, go, well, I've got to find another way to do music then. Right, what can I do? Let's do something else that I can do from home via the internet. And you've set this up, which is wonderful. I'm thrilled to hear how it's going. I did a bunch of kitchen sessions from my sofa here. I just go Facebook Live and I sing a bunch of songs, old ones, new ones, things people have never heard before. Because do you know what? Unlike in a proper gig, when I won't let myself have the words on stage because I like to learn my songs, in this gig here, if I have the words off to the side, you know, that's okay. So I can sing all kinds of stuff that I wouldn't take on stage, because a sofa gig is kind of just cosy singing to friends. So that's been one of the things that's kept me sane. I think a lot of us have found ways to put music out there through the net in different formats, and that's been exciting, seeing new things come up like that.
I'm going to bring us back round to the protesting and the campaigning part. Yes. And I just wondered, have you got any thoughts for next year? When you're allowed to go out and about and get a crowd together, what's the first thing you're going to be campaigning about?
Oh, it's like there's a really long list of things to be really angry about right now.
Yeah, there really is.
I'll go where I'm asked. There's one song that I sang, in fact, last night for the first time, which I wrote several years ago because the Cubbington Pear Tree had several years ago been nominated or won the prize of the best tree in England. Oh. And about a month ago, they cut it down. They cut it down to HS2. Yeah. So if anybody wants me to go sing that somewhere, I've got an HS2 song about the Cubbington pear, you know, and I'll be there for you.
You have to laugh, because otherwise you cry.
Yes. Plenty of that, and hang on to the little things, you know, tea and cake and crafting and gardening and people, you know,
and relationships, yes, and absolutely. Music and interaction.
Yes, all of those. They matter. They put a bit of brightness in a dark day that can really make a difference. Yeah.
We asked you to pick a song, and you've chosen, I think it's fair to say, quite a traditional sounding folk band from Wiltshire. They're kind of spread all over Wiltshire, aren't they, the Yirdbards?
I love the soundscape that they make, the fact that they have strings, they have cello, they have fiddle. I love Paul Darby's voice. It's so rich. This particular song, as you said, it's a traditional sounding, though I believe it's a contemporary song. And I do that myself. I write songs which are modern songs but set so that they could be at any time in the past. That's always a compelling thing. The story in this song is heartbreaking. It's beautifully presented, and I was actually at that gig. So when you said find something with a YouTube, I thought, yeah, I went looking, and then I thought, Yirdbards. And also, what a cool name, isn't it? Isn't it fantastic?
Long ago when I was young, not more than 21, not the maid from yonder town, I loved her more for plenty. The barley bread and the barley wine, I drink her health and beauty. Come gather round, come gather round the barley. Barley hay she twist and tie, a likeness of her lover. Upon this doll she'd make her fly, she would love no other. The bonny doll against my breast, I vowed that I would wed her. Come gather round, come gather round the barley. Come gather round, come gather in the sea. Barley doll around my neck, close to my heart she stayed. She can be with me through the year, from month of June to end. Love would fill the barley doll, and fill me night and day. Come gather round, come gather the barley. One day I met a winsome lass, was sent by God to try me, bestowing on her favours and wrath. At times she not deny me. On a hill my true love stood, and in the dale it spy me. Come gather round, come gather round. Come gather round, come gather in the sea. That day I saw no more my love from yonder town. I fear her heart was sorely torn, my guilt did bear me down. But I would love no other, my vow I'll reaffirm. Come gather round, come gather round the barley. Today will be my wedding day. Come gather round and linger. I'll make a ring of barley hay and wear it on my finger. The barley doll shall be my bride, for I can love no other. Come gather round, come gather round the barley. Come gather round, come gather in the sea.
Okay, so that track is called Barley Doll. It's by a Wiltshire band called the Yirdbards, and that was recorded at the Bradford-on-Avon Folk Club. Live record. We don't feature that many live recordings.
No, we don't. We totally could and should do. I've got a massive archive of live recordings. But Bradford-on-Avon Folk Club. So, is that the existing folk club in Elizabeth Hall?
The Swan.
Community. The Swan. Oh, okay. So it was literally like the pub then. So yeah, cool.
So I'm not sure I've been into the Swan. That's the one it's in the centre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mind you, everything in Bradford-on-Avon is in the centre. That was a rubbish description.
It's quite small, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's it's a really good venue. They've always done music there. So it's got a really good history of music. So, lovely little place. I love Bradford.
Right. So, time for us to cover a bit of news. Have you got anything you want to share with us this week, Kieran?
No, I'm newsed out, mate. I'm newsed out. All I know is that I've got a bunch of shows that I'm waiting for the agents to confirm, to announce. And I've got a bunch of venues not wanting to book anything in case it all goes wrong again. So, like, imagine. Chicken and egg situation. Well,
I found one story on BBC this week, which was about the band Whitesnake. Remember Whitesnake? So
go on.
We're old enough to remember Whitesnake. But
I am, unfortunately. Look, we both are. We both are.
Yeah. I was trying to make it sound like we're younger than we are.
Oh, sorry. No, we're not.
Right, the guitarist, Bernie Marsden, is selling off a load of his guitars and amps at an auction site in Wiltshire on the 9th and 10th of December.
That's quite cool, though.
I don't know how many thousands of pounds you'd need to pick up one of those, but yeah, he's clearing out his collection and he's going to auction the lot off.
I kind of want to go and just watch it get sold.
Look at this, a 1959 Marshall amp, that's going up for grabs.
Ooh, with flight case.
Mm-hmm.
Probably with Whitesnake spray painted on the side.
Get a bit of memorabilia.
Fortunately, I have no interest in... I don't play, so I can't buy anything, but I definitely want to go along for the ride and just watch it.
Could be interesting, couldn't it? Yeah.
It could well be.
I always think about seeing Only Fools and Horses when they go to the auction house with their stuff and they earn millions of pounds. That's, for me, how every auction works.
Yes.
All right. In that case, Karen, I guess we will draw this session to an end. For people who want to get in touch with us, you can email us at sheerisolation@gmail.com. You can send us your music videos, just get in touch, say hi. You can find the video of this on YouTube, or you can find us on the local radio network across the west of England and on various streaming platforms. We are after world domination, and we won't stop until everybody's listening to us.
We won't stop. We won't stop.
Brill. All right then, Kieran, I will leave you to go off and have your tea. I'm going to...
Goodbye from me.
The editing suite.
Excellent. It's goodbye from you. Until next week.
See you next week, bud. All right. Toodles.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye. Bye.